suddenly a violent storm began. The ship in the middle of the ocean was struggling with the waves until the eldest arrived. He was the only survivor on the ship that began to sink. Harrison Okene, the Gulf of Guinea is known for its rich oil deposits. In addition, this area is quite dangerous for sea transportation because pirates in this region can attack a commercial ship at any time. That's why their ships are always ready for an attack. Watercraft always keep their doors locked. On May 26, 2013, an oil exploration platform was located 37 kilometers offshore from Escravos, Nigeria, with 3 trailers decked out. There were high waves in the storm that started suddenly in the early morning. The trailer, called Jasicon 4, was completely turned upside down by a very large wave. At this time, most of the crew were sleeping in their rooms. Everything in the rooms was thrown away when the ship turned upside down. Before anyone could understand what was happening, water started leaking into the rooms from the door sides. On top of that, the room doors were also locked. Harrison, the cook, was in the bathroom next. When he noticed that water was entering under the door, he immediately tried to open the door. However, because the corridor behind the door was full of water, he was applying strong pressure to the door. He couldn't open his door, but he saw 3 friends coming out of the December door into the hallway. They quickly made their way to the emergency hatch. Harrison called for help, but he couldn't make his voice heard. The moment they opened the lid, the ocean swallowed them up in an instant, and they disappeared as the water rushed in. Harrison's door also opened. He was caught up in the current of water and dragged through a narrow corridor to the cabin of one of the captains. He was bruised all over because he was hitting right and left. He was dazed. Harrison is in a bathroom of about 1 square meter. On the completely upside-down ship, he was trying to keep his head above the water level. Although it's hard to believe he was still alive. The ship sat on the seabed with a violent shaking. It was about 32 feet deep. Noticing the incident, the surrounding ships immediately launched a rescue operation with helicopter support. First, they marked the point where the ship capsized with a buoy. Then a dive team was quickly directed to the area. Harrison heard the sound of divers outside the ship. He immediately started punching the wall, but they didn't hear him. When the divers could not see any signs of life while walking around the ship, the rescue dive was canceled and they went up. Given the size of the boat, he lost hope that it would be a miracle for them to find him. He waited for about a day in a small airspace. The oxygen inside was about to run out. He was breathing hard. He gathered his courage and dived into the water. In the pitch darkness, he swam up to the office of the wheelman's head. When all his power was exhausted, he stepped out into a new airspace about 1 meter high. For a while, he had enough oxygen now. His body temperature dropped from standing in cold water. He was very cold and shivering from the materials he found in the cabin. He made a platform to reduce the contact of his body with water. At least now he was standing waist high above the water. He could smell the rotting corpses of his friends. He felt very lonely when he thought everyone was dead. She was also very scared. It was completely dark inside. He was hungry and dehydrated. His skin was starting to peel off from wading in the salt water. He was just hearing voices. The creaking of the ship was coming. The most terrifying were the sounds of fish eating corpses. They were eating their friends as if they were competing with each other. He was always praying to get out of here. From time to time he thought about his family, clinging to life with a desire to return to them. Above, a hopeful effort was underway to reach the wreckage. A second dive team arrived in the area to retrieve the bodies. This was a more comprehensive team. They would work together with a technical team of 6 divers. The water was cloudy in the area where the ship sank, and the visibility angle was quite low. Divers came with cameras. The technical staff directed them from time to time via the microphone connection. All the doors on the ship were locked. To get into the ship, they broke first the outer door, then a second door. It was quite difficult to find directions inside because the ship was upside down. Also, all the items were mixed together. The divers began to tour the ship carefully and calmly. They found for bodies. Harrison had lost all hope when he heard a sound similar to the dropping of an anchor. Then he heard the sounds of hammers being hit on the hull. He realized that the search teams were coming. He punched the wall with all his strength. In the process of moving forward, he saw a light in the corridor of the area where he was located, but the diver was too fast. Harrison passed him before he could reach him. The diver named Nico was moving through a narrow and dark corridor with his camera. The water was quite murky. He was in constant communication with the technical team. He saw a hand in the darkness. Thinking that he had found a new body, he touched the corpse. This hand unexpectedly shook Nikon's hand. The diver came to his senses with the sound of the technical team. While experiencing a big shock, he's alive. He was in great perplexity when they found Harrison. He couldn't take it anymore, according to initial findings. He was breathing hard and suffering from carbon dioxide poisoning. The divers primarily applied hot water to raise their body temperature. Then they put an oxygen mask on him. Harrison had been at a depth of 32 meters for a long time and could have been exposed to the condition known among divers as profiteering. When decamping to the surface of the water, the medical team decided to take him in an environment similar to that on the seabed. This could have been the end, because stress or anxiety would have raised his blood pressure. However, his cold-blooded attitude surprised everyone. They looked like experienced divers. He never broke his calm. He took boat on the evening of May 28, 2013. When he saw the stars in the sky, he thought I had been underwater all day. But he had been under the sea for about 60 hours. He was immediately transferred to a comprehensive pressure chamber. He waited there for about 2.5 days until his body values returned to normal. Of the entire crew, only Harrison was able to be rescued. He was in the bathroom at the time of the accident. His friends were sleeping and the doors were locked. You can call it luck, you can call it fate. No matter what you say, never lose hope. Everyone will encounter the opportunity they are looking for one day. The important thing is to prepare for that day by doing your best.